Hello everybody and welcome back to my Gargantua series, where we are seeing here leaving Charon, the moon, or let's rather say planetary brother of Plock, the outermost planet of the Outer Planets mod in Kerbal Space Program. And the Gargantua is seen here performing its burn away from that moon. So our goal is to kind of get an orbit between those two planets and wait until our transfer window approaches, so we can get, well, a little less far away from the sun, so to speak. A beauty shot of both planets hanging just there in space, and we're off away from the sphere of influence of Charon. And yeah, I kinda miscalculated how dual planets work, and so I got some weird orbits happening over there. And I decided before I would crash into one of those two planets, well, let's keep it safe and perform another burn and increase our orbit even further, so we are outside of Plock and Charon. So we're approaching our apoapse over here and firing the engines so we can get to safety, which we have. And now we're using the transfer window planner mod, great thing by the way, to calculate our transfer to Dres. Yes, we're getting back to Dres because, well, it's been quite a few years since the 6 Kerbals have been stranded there, or, well, not stranded, they're performing valuable scientific research, of course. And you can see me here attaching those action menus for the power cells, so I can get some power, because out here the solar panels don't really work anymore. So I need the additional help to get some electricity to the reaction wheels, so I can actually move this sucker. Okay, we're now performing our ejection burn away from Plock. And there we go. We're already outside there, and we're heading away from Plock. There we go, getting those radiators back inside. Because, well, the radiators of course are needed because how many? 21, almost 30 or something nuclear engines, they perform quite a lot of heat. Before we can actually get to Dres, we have to perform another burn. Because, well, I didn't get an encounter before, but it was very close by, and then I finally got it, and I'm going to calculate also what my insertion burn would take me in regards of delta V, and we're still in a very safe margin with the huge amounts of delta V that the Gargantua offers. Okay, I'm trying to fine-tune it over here. Watch carefully or you miss it. There you go. Okay, so since we're very far away, even a minuscule change in velocity will result in a significant change of where your orbit is going to end up. You can see me here trying to use the reaction control system to kind of fine-tune it, and yeah, well, it's not as good as I had hoped, but we'll manage. And we did! We're already here. I skipped through 30 years of transfer. Thank God Kerbals don't die of old age. Now we're adjusting our periapse so we can get closer to the planet Dres, so we can get a more efficient insertion burn. Which is kind of, I don't know, not really efficient, because I really have to start a long way before I get to periapse to begin my burn. And I also realized that the ship is really unstable at the moment, because for some reason the starboard tanks don't drain, or don't drain at the same rate as the port tanks. Or is it the other way around? No, the port tanks don't drain as well as the starboard tanks. Anyway, so I had to shift around some fuel, and Now it behaves beautifully. No more correction input during burn. That is really helpful. I also didn't, I couldn't burn at full throttle without the ship careening off into one direction. Okay, getting closer to the planet. There we go. Look at that big black potato up in the night sky. And we're already closing in. I'm going to skip ahead a bit through this process because I'm kind of having to start the burn, then readjusting the maneuver node, because during the burn very far away from the periapse, of course the periapse begins to change. We're now a lot closer to the surface than we were before. And this is going to be our final burn for capturing the Gargantua around Dres. There we go, we are now safe. I think we're going to burn a bit longer so I get closer to the planet. There is a reason for that. Yeah, that should suffice. Going to do a few more corrections. Nothing big, of course, just some plane change. Why am I doing a plane change? Well, because at the end of what I'm going to do here at Dres, I'm also going to have to get back to that asteroid orbiting Dres, where I have left my fuel refinery. We have adjusted our orbit, and we are still going to have to adjust our ascending and descending node a little bit. So there we go, just some fine-tuning. And we're good, yeah, that looks okay, I guess. Time to start the recovery mission. You've seen in two of those bays up front were the refinery and the drill, but you haven't seen what's in the third one, and here we go. It's a tiny lander. Well, basically it's 6 seats bolted to an engine. And this thing is going to land on Dres and get the crew back. And also going to put straight up into the sun, well, facing the sun, so we can get some electricity through those solar panels. I got a big battery on there, well, not that big, but sufficient. But I'm not going to take any chances, so this thing, which is of course fully autonomous, well, does not drain of power. So here's the trick. The Dresser, where I'm trying to land, is quite far away from the equator. Well, not that far away, but since we are in an equatorial orbit, I have to adjust my landing trajectory accordingly. So the trick here is to kind of guess where the Dresser will end up below my orbital trajectory as I am adjusting it. Since the planet also rotates while I move, this is, well, it can be tricky. What I'm doing is trying to put my retrograde, my surface retrograde marker, as you can see here, I switched to surface mode. I try to put my surface retrograde marker above the target reticule. That means that my descent ends up right above the target, which is what I'm aiming for, incidentally. I actually learned this technique by myself, I might add, during my Operation Moonsucker series that I did a few months back. And I had to perform a lot of landings, well, pinpoint landings to be exact. And I came up with this method of landing very close to my target. And here we go. You can see the retrograde marker is always kept above the target, and yeah, that is close enough. Those Kerbals can take a walk to there. Please don't fall over, don't slide. I really hate those sliding landing gears that they introduced in the Kerbal Space Program 1.1. Okay, there we go, flying over there and falling, yeah, tumbly Kerbals. Who doesn't like them? And there we go, the second one, and the third one. And then, of course, a fourth one. Come on, get out of there. Fly over there. Get on there. And the penultimate Kerbal. Hey there. Fly there. Sit there. Be silent. Okay, and then I kinda messed up. I made this one exit on the wrong side of the crew module, and interestingly, there was space for a Kerbal in there, but nothing for it to do, so yeah, kinda weird. Okay, now it's time to get back to orbit and rendezvous with Gargantua. We should have enough Delta V in this thing to make the rendezvous. But let's don't take any chances and just fly up there into a safe orbit around Dres. Those 6 Kerbals look excited. That's probably the fastest they went since, well, 60 years ago or something, when they were left on Dres. Look at those faces. Okay, we're already evening out our trajectory because we've had already hit a very safe apoapse. Now, I'm going to adjust the orbit so my periapse or apoapse, whatever, will already intersect with the target orbit of Gargantua. There we go. And then it's the usual finagling with maneuver nodes until I get encounter or rendezvous with my big ship. First we're going to adjust this thing a bit. And since we've done that, yep, we have a rendezvous. Well, it's a bit far away. Let's try to use the reaction control system to close this up a bit. Well, that looks promising. 0.2 kilometers is close enough. And here we already have it, the mothership, Gargantua herself. And of course, we're going to use the lander to perform the approach maneuver, since moving Gargantua is a bit of a pain in the behind. There we go, closing in. We're going to target one of the docking ports on the crew modules. But first we have to open them up. There we go. And let's control it from the docking port, of course, so we can line those up perfectly. There we go. Time to close up that landing gear. Not sure why it is open yet. We are already on close approach, and boom! We've docked with Gargantua. So I'm going to skip ahead a bit, well, warp ahead a bit to where the sun is shining, because myself, I'm not really that good at the nighttime thingies because I can't see them a lot. Yeah, typical Kerbal weirdness. If you exit a command seed, it exits the Kerbal right above that, and it uses the first free space it can find in the physical universe, so to speak. And this, yeah, has this nice effect where my Kerbal is trapped in between tanks. So I'm using the magic of time acceleration, which enables Kerbals and other objects to phase through matter. A very curious thing that the Kerbal universe offers. I'm not really sure if there's a physical or physicistical, I don't know, equivalent in the real world. I'm pretty sure there is not. But anyway, this managed to save my Kerbal from certain death. And now he's safe in the air. I'm going to skip over the 4 other Kerbals because none of those had any peculiar incidents while leaving the command seat. They just ended up somewhere around Gargantua. Since we don't want to leave any waste behind, and maybe we can use this lander somewhere I don't know. No idea yet. Let's get this thing back inside of the mouth of the thing. I'm still kind of thinking it looks like a sandworm from Dune, the front that I made here. Shai-Hulud beckons you to enter. Tasty. Okay, enough of that. So yeah, we got our refinery in a faraway orbit around Draz, so we're going to do a double maneuver or something like that. I'm going to first raise my apoapse really high, then adjust my orbit closely to the refinery, and then I'm going to kind of try to get a rendezvous. So here we have another beauty shot of big baby Gargantua trying to make another burn. Okay, we overshot a bit, but that doesn't matter. So let's get this thing out of there. And yeah, I decided to watch this in map view because I think it kind of looks beautiful how those orbits come together. So another plane change adjustment, and then we had our rendezvous. So the rendezvous is about 15 kilometers apart from the target, which seems far, but at those distances it is quite okay. And we have way enough delta V to get back to it once we're close there. And also, since we're so far out of the planetary core, well, the delta V requirements out there are not that big. Okay, I'm still trying to adjust that close approach. There we go. It's getting closer and closer and closer. My orbit is getting weirder and weirder, but that doesn't matter because, yeah, we got it. We got our closest encounter. And then we are here. Look at that. In the background is that big asteroid E1, as I rechristened it. And the only thing left to do is point at it and fire our engines. And I'm using here Kerbal Engineer to show me my time to closest approach, so I don't mess it up. So you can see that in the, I think, the right hand corner, the time to closest approach. And as soon as I'm very close, I'm going to fire my engine, so I have the most efficient way to get a rendezvous. There we go. You can see the orbits adjusting because I'm matching my velocity to that of my target. And I was thinking here that maybe if I can get this right, then I can get an even closer encounter somewhere further down that orbit. But it didn't work out like I intended, and oh, what the hell, I have enough delta V left, so yeah, let's just burn towards that sucker. I think we're going to use about 10 meters per second or something like that in total. 5 to burn towards it, then let time pass a bit, and then 5 to brake, so to speak. May have noticed I have to use 3 times physical time acceleration to actually get this thing moving at a decent pace. Once it's on its way, it does have some speed to it, but yeah. Overcoming the inertia is really grueling. And we are here! Look at that! That big black ball of stuff with our refinery protruding from it. Okay, since we're now very close to it, let's decrease our velocity again. And then we're going to dock with it. Okay. We're going to try to not use the closest approach in this case. Why? Because, well, then I would probably be further away from the docking port than I would have liked. So I'm going to brake a bit ahead of my target. So now we have to realign the ship, because moving the asteroid with just a refinery will be quite a hassle. And also, asteroids always behave, well, weirdly. at least for me to do. And I'm going to control this with the docking port in the belly of the beast. And now this is going to be... This is almost good. So you can see the target reticle in the center almost lining up with the crosshairs, which means that the docking port is in the correct orientation to dock with the target. The only thing is that the ship is too far away, but we can remedy that. But I'm going to once again skip ahead a bit because that took quite some time and it was really uneventful. So yeah, I'm trying to conserve as much of my reaction fuel as I can, which is basically what you can see in the right hand corner, the oxidizer. Still have a lot left, but it takes a lot of that to move Gargantua. We've lined up nicely. Look at that. Once again docking with the asteroid. And no, I'm not going to take it back to Kerbin. Are you insane? That would be really too much. So yeah, refinery is still in place, the drills are still hooked into the surface of the asteroid, and we're almost hooked onto that thing. 3, 2, 1, a half, and 0. Yes, we have docked. Nicely, okay. Time to fire up the refinery again, wake it from its slumber, which means reactivating the batteries. And restarting the drills and restarting the refinery. And let's just wait to fill... why doesn't it fill up? Okay, there is enough resources left in the asteroid. The drills are working, but the refinery isn't, and we're not getting any ore. This is weird. Well, I'm not going to solve this mystery in this episode, so thanks for watching. Goodbye.